In performance at the White House presents Merle Haggard with Mark O'Connor. Introduced by Beverly Sills.
Welcome to California and the beautiful Santa Ynez Mountains. Just over the hill there is the ranch of President and Mrs. Reagan. And in a very short time, they and their friends are going to be joined and entertained by Merle Haggard and his band, The Strangers. They'll also hear a terrific young country fiddler, 20 years old, Mark O'Connor. And he's been singled out by Merle Haggard as an outstanding young American talent.
Our guest artist today is the great country and western musician Merle Haggard, a performer who has won every major country music award. He once recorded an album called The Best of Merle Haggard. And as you'll soon hear, that's exactly what we're going to get this afternoon. We'll also hear the best of Mark O'Connor, an amazing young fiddler whom Merle believes is destined for future greatness, and I think you will all agree.
Thank you.
Merle Haggard is a very private man and a very public career. To escape its pressure, he retreats to a houseboat here on Lake Shasta with his dog Tuffy to relax, fish, and reflect.
In my type of music, it's a preferred thing to have at least two or possibly three fiddles, and I wanted to be able to play the lead fiddle and to simulate some of the music that I had heard Wills do a couple of decades before. Most people that take on the task of learning to play the violin or the fiddle, it takes a long time, like we were talking about 50,000 hours or whatever. This doesn't apply to a young man that has become very famous in the profession of music. He's not that well known with the public. 19-year-old Mark O'Connor. I first heard of Mark, it must have been 5 or 6 years ago, and someone said, this 14-year-old kid is just amazing.
Like Haggard, Mark's interest in music is broad, and he's equally at home playing country music or performing jazz with the famous violinist Stephane Grappelli.
Well, I meet Mark O'Connor, a young man. I was quite surprised of his great talent for his age. And he was keen of all kinds of music. For that age, it was quite astonishing to find a young man with such enthusiasm and some knowledge in his... Well, for his age, he was an old professional.
The tradition of old-time fiddle playing is kept alive through national competition. Mark took part in one last fall in El Paso, and to no one's surprise, he took first place.
Well, fiddle music is just, it's the old basic fiddle tunes that we're trying to preserve and keep alive that was brought over from the old country. Hardly any of the fiddlers played anyway except by ear. It's just something that they feel inside, and it's been handed down from generation to generation, and we're trying to keep it alive by fiddle contests and festivals.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark O'Connor.
Bob Wills had an influence on Texas fiddling, and of course Merle Haggard, plays a lot of Bob Wills stuff, and there's a big influence even on the younger players today that play that style, and it's one for sure. One of the great ones is Mark O'Connor, and he's, what can I say about the guy? Comes from outer space somewhere, I think. I don't think he's came from this planet. I've never seen anybody that young learn so fast and become so efficient on the instrument. It amazes me.
Talent doesn't guarantee anything. Mark O'Connor is a good example. He has more talent for his age than anyone I've ever seen, and it doesn't ensure a future for him. It depends on his desires and whether or not he wants to carry it out. I think you know that he's going to carry it on. There's something about him that says, I'm going to be a musician the rest of my life, and I'm going to do it well, and this is what I care about the most.
Wow. Where are you from?
Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, Washington?
I live in Atlanta, Georgia now. I live in Georgia now.
It's okay. That's fine with me. I understand that you have 3 times won the Grand National Fiddlers Competition.
Well, yeah, I don't know, you asked me how many people entered. There was about 350, but I think I lucked out 3 times in a row.
I don't think so, honey. It must be kind of terrific collaborating with Merle and this wonderful band.
I want to thank him for inviting me to play for the President, Miss Reagan.
Well, I think we'll put a little whipped cream on your cake. Merle, you want to play something with him? I'm not sure.
You should know better than that, because in the business I was in, if you didn't sing or dance or play an instrument, you ended up making a speech. Well, I just want to, on behalf of all of us, thank Merle and Mark. You know, in the comic strip, Charlie Brown this morning, just curiously enough, one of his little girlfriends was telling him about a strange uncle she had that liked the violin. So she said he went down and bought one. And then he went down to the symphony orchestra and watched him to see how it was done. Went home and he couldn't play it at all. So he was going back next week and sit closer. I think we've just heard a young man and some other gentlemen up here who sat very close. I think the music we've heard today reaches the heart of America. Merle, you've taken the hopes and heartbreaks of our people, combined them with the freedom and beauty of our land, and ended up with the music of America. I can't think of a better setting for this last of our series of performances for young American artists. Here in this magnificent ranch in the spectacular Santa Ynez Valley, we can remember our roots and feel the power and strength of our past. Inspired by the artists today and tomorrow, we can rest assured that we have every resource we need to conquer the future. As someone said, the political life of a nation is only its most superficial aspect. In order to know the inner life, to really understand it, you've got to find the heart in the literature, the philosophy, and the arts. And there you'll find the ideas and the passion and the dreams of a whole people. Well, I would add, in those dreams you'll find their future. If the American people stop long enough to understand the strength, the morality, and the courage that runs deep in our national character, then I believe we will have turned the corner in our struggle to renew our national life. I'd like to thank Beverly Sills for bringing together such an outstanding group of stars as she has this season. And for the wonderful young American talent. Nancy and I have enjoyed this program very much. We hope that everyone viewing it has, and that all of you have. And I hope the rising generation of American artists, this generation of artists, will be encouraged to meet the challenges ahead of them and inspired to surpass the high standards of the American artists who've come before. But most of all, I hope all our countrymen will take pride in the American cultural heritage, the respect that is rooted in the creativity that can only come from freedom. So thank all of you for joining us. And Merle, it just struck me here that you might consider, say, a couple of more songs.
Wish a buck was still silver and it was back when the country was strong. Back before Elvis and before the Vietnam War came along. Before the Beatles and yesterday, when a man could still work and still would. Is the best of the free life behind us now? Are the good times really over for good? I wish Coke was still cola and a joint was a bad place to be. And it was back before Nixon lied to us all on TV. Before microwave ovens, when a girl could still cook and still would. It's the best of the free life behind us now. Are the good times really over for good? Are we rolling downhill like a snowball headed for hell? With no kind of chance for the flag or the Liberty Bell. I wish a Ford and a Chevy would still last 10 years like they should. It's the best of the free life behind us now. Are the good times really over for good? Stop rolling downhill like a snowball headed for hell. Stand up for the flag and let's all ring the Liberty Bell. Let's make a Ford and a Chevy that'll still last 10 years like they should. 'Cause the best of the free life is still yet to come, and the good times ain't over for good. There's a big brown cloud in the city, and the countryside to sin, and the price of life is too high to give up. It's gotta come down again. But one of these days when the air clears up and the sun comes shining through, we'll all be drinking free bubble up and eating some rainbows too. When they find out how to burn the water and the gasoline car is gone, and when an airplane flies without any fuel and the sunlight heats our home, when worldwide war is over and done and the dream of peace comes true, we'll all be drinking some free bubble up and eating some rainbow stew. Eating rainbow stew in a silver spoon underneath that sky of blue. We'll all be drinking free bubble up and eating some rainbow stew. Have to get high to get happy. Just think about what's in the store. When people start doing what they ought to be doing, then we won't be booing no more. When a president goes through the White House door, does what he says he'll do, we'll all be drinking some free bubble up and eating some rainbow stew. And I'm rooting for you. Hey, rainbow stew in a silver spoon underneath that sky of blue. We'll all be drinking free bubble up, eating some rainbow stew. One more time. Eating rainbow stew in a silver spoon underneath that sky of blue. We'll all be drinking free bubble up and eating some rainbow stew.
In Performance at the White House is made possible by grants from Archer Daniels Midland Company, processors of America's agricultural products, serving markets worldwide. J.C. Penney, serving American consumers from coast to coast. Nabisco Brands, manufacturer and distributor of food and beverage products throughout the world.